More than 3,100 people signed up for this year's Values Voters Summit in Washington. That's the biggest crowd ever. At times, it was literally standing room only. These are people who are looking for more than a zinger soundbite on the evening news.
I feel like we get a lot of this kind of celebrity gossip stuff and what's going on Twitter and what kind of things are spreading. And I'm thinking, what would our founders say to this whole process?
People realize that this is a great opportunity to actually improve the state of our nation. They're stressed by the things they see, and they think that the current administration is not running well.
And they were not disappointed.
More control by the state and less liberty for individuals is a recipe for America's certain demise. We've already seen this film before. It flopped when Jimmy Carter tried it. It flopped in Europe. And now it's the most colossal flop of all time. It's called the Obama administration.
Tony Perkins heads up FRC Action, the group that puts together the summit each year.
What made the difference this year is President Obama. People have had over 2 years of his administration, and the changes that he has forced on America, starting with Obamacare, starting with forcing homosexuality upon the military. And I think people realize that elections have consequences, and they're going to do everything they can to change the occupant of the White House in 2012.
Of course, the big draw here at the Omni Shoreham Hotel was the presidential contenders. I thought you might enjoy hearing some of them, and specifically the parts of their speeches that deal with the social issues that we talk about so often here on the CitizenLink Report. First up, Texas Governor Rick Perry.
My little country school where I grew up and graduated had a motto. It said, "No dream too tall for a school so small." There are millions of Americans that are born into less than ideal circumstances. Maybe they were born into poverty, born without a parent. But as a society, we must stand for the principle that every life is worth living, regardless of the circumstance. In America, it's not where you come from that matters, but where you're going. As Americans, we must affirm the value of life, not just in our Declaration of Independence, but in the ways that we live. For some candidates, pro-life is an election year slogan to follow the prevailing political winds. To me, it's about the absolute principle that every human being is entitled to life. All human life is made in the image of our Creator. And every innocent life must be protected, from the most frail who are elderly to the most vulnerable who are unborn. That's why, as governor, I have consistently worked for pro-life legislation, policies such as parental consent for minors seeking an abortion, a ban on third trimester abortions, an informed consent law. And I'm proud to fight for and was proud to sign a budget that defunded Planned Parenthood in Texas.
Former Senator Rick Santorum had a lot to say about the life issue.
People talk about economic plans, and I just did. But we cannot have a strong economy unless we have strong families and strong faith in this country. People talk about, well, the moral issues have taken a back seat. That's because people don't understand how moral issues are absolutely essential for the economic success of this country. Look at this statistic. What percentage of families that have two parents heading that family are in poverty in America? Answer, 5%. What percentage of single head of household families are in poverty in America? 30%. You want to have a successful economy, the single thing you can do is to nurture and support the institution of marriage, and fathers taking responsibility for their children, building that solid foundation upon which society rests. And that means standing up and defending the institution of marriage as between one man and one woman, not backing away from it, standing up for it. And there's one candidate in this race who has gone to state after state and helped fight those battles, not just for the federal marriage amendment, but understanding that what the left is trying to accomplish in marriage is what they did with abortion. Pick off a few states, get the courts to say, we can't have different laws on the issue such fundamental as marriage, and then have the courts decide it. We must fight in every state to make sure that marriage remains between one man and one woman, and as president, I will do that.
And here's former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney.
But we know that marriage is more than a personally rewarding social custom. It's also critical for the well-being of a civilization. That's why it's so important to preserve traditional marriage, the joining together of one man and one woman. And that's why I will appoint an Attorney General who will defend the bipartisan law passed by Congress and signed by Bill Clinton, the Defense of Marriage Act. Our values must also encompass the life of an unborn child. There are, of course, strong convictions on both sides of this issue, yet it speaks well of our country that almost all Americans recognize that abortion is a problem. The law may call it a right, but no one ever called it a good. And in the quiet of conscience, people of both political parties know that more than 1 million abortions a year can't be squared with the good heart of America. I support the Hyde Amendment, which broadly bars the use of federal funds for abortions. As president, I'll add federal funding for abortion advocates like Planned Parenthood. I'll protect a healthcare worker's right to follow their conscience in their work. And I will nominate judges who know the difference between personal opinion and law. It is long past time for the Supreme Court to return the issue of abortion back to the states by overturning Roe v. Wade.
The theme of the speech by businessman Herman Cain was, we need to work on the right problem.
And just to set the record straight, you know, when you run for president and you move into the top tier, I'm just saying, you get this bullseye on your back, and people take pot shots left and right. But I don't want you to be unclear about where I stand on certain things. And you won't be confused by some of the garbage that people are going to throw out there because they are a little bit afraid that this long shot may not be a long shot any longer. So let me just set the record straight. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I believe in life from conception, period, no exceptions. I believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. And I would not have asked the Department of Justice to not enforce it. I would have asked the Department of Justice to enforce the Defense of Marriage Act. So I happen to believe that the Founding Fathers put it in that order, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for a reason. You can pursue happiness all you want to, as long as you don't tread on somebody else's liberty. You can pursue liberty all you want to, as long as you don't tread on somebody else's life, and that includes the life of the unborn.
We hope that gives you some insight into what some of the presidential contenders think about the issues that matter most to you. We always appreciate hearing from you. You may write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. Let us know what you think about the folks who are running this year. And we encourage you to pray for those who are running for office, but also pray for the American people as we make a decision about who we'd like to see leading this country. And remember, stand tall and be heard.